So the next thing, the thing of it is, the next thing I'm going to do is take these 4 bolts off here, which, you know, holds this drive shaft, bolts the drive shaft to this yoke. Hopefully everyone can see this leak here. See how it's wet? And that's after we'd washed it, so it's leaking. So I'm going to take these 4 bolts off. I'm going to probably just move this drive shaft over to the side and set it on a jack stand. Then I can take this yoke, work on getting this yoke out, and then replace that seal. So the first thing I got to do is just take these bolts out. And I'll get these out, and then I'll actually have cameraman Alex take it out of gear, and then I can turn it so that I can get at that other one. But first I'll take these 3 out. You'll have to fast forward this, you know. Hand tool Gary. Hand tool Gary. Doing it all old school here. Old school here. Showing you all you can restore a car in your garage with just some hand tools. You don't need a ton of stuff. I'm just really grooving on the fact that this is a 52-year-old car. It's in great shape. As I mentioned earlier, that valve or that differential cover being dry is a good indication it's just been setting, which is okay. It's just going to need some minor maintenance, and we're going to go through all that. Alright, what I'm going to do is ask my son if he would get in the car.
Yeah, I can do that upper bolt, actually.
Okay. Oh, you got the tight one. Let's just take it out of gear. This way I can push, which is easier to do than you're trying to do it at a weird angle. And then I'll need you to put it back into park, son. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, and I'll probably mention a lot in my videos, is you know, safety and ergonomics are key to being able to work on cars and not hurt yourself. And so always kind of anticipating if the wrench, if the bolt failed or the wrench, you know, slipped, what would happen with your hands. And so that way, having it here, you know, if it comes off, well, I'm just going to go this way. I'm not going to hit anything, right? Where, you know, if I was up in there or pushing up towards the car, if it broke loose, it might hit my hand as well. So, yeah, that one was on there a little bit. Kind of bent my wrench. Well, it didn't literally bend it, but I could feel it stressing my wrench, so that one was in there good. These are usually pretty easy to take out because of the grease that's in these U-joints. You know, the seal itself being as it was leaking, there's quite a bit of grease around this area, so That's kind of got these threads all wet and easy to take out. As you can see there, they're pretty moist with oil, so keeps them from rusting in there. Okay, so next I'm going to get myself another jack stand, and then I'm going to, like with the cover, I'm going to pry this back, hopefully break that loose there, and then I'll be able to move it out of the way. All right, hopefully this doesn't block the camera, but all right. And first I'll start with my screwdriver. There's a little hole over here I can stick it in. See if I can. Can you put that back in neutral, son, for me? That way I can rotate this again and pry on both sides. There we go. Kind of pop that off there. We may have to adjust the camera, I don't know, but I can push that up in there. Oh, I'll lift this if you can raise that stand for me. Yeah, there we go. That should help. There. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, we've got the big master nut, which is what holds this yoke on. And so I think what I'm going to do, it's getting kind of late here. It's about time for supper. So I'm going to spray this. I'm going to spray these threads with some penetrating oil. And we'll let that sit tonight. And that'll help and hopefully make it easier to break that nut loose. We'll talk about removing this nut. Because it's important that when you put this back together, there is some what's called a crush sleeve inside here for the pinion gear, and so this has to go back in exactly the same position as how you remove it. So I'll show you a tip that I've learned and I do in replacing these pinion seals without having to rebuild without messing up that play or that crush sleeve, which controls the play on those inner workings later. So anyway, kind of talking a lot right now. Not sure what I'm saying, getting a little tired, doing a lot today, but having fun with this. Gonna fix this. Gonna fix this leak here. Not gonna have that. Not gonna have this going low on fluid. So, like I said, I'm gonna spray a little bit of penetrating oil on this here system. Let that set tonight. We'll get back after it tomorrow. Have a great rest of the night. Have a good evening. Have a great evening and a good nighty night. I can't say nighty night anymore. My children are too old. They're young adults and they remind me constantly, don't talk baby talk. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I'm trying to break the habit of baby talk because my kids are all adults now. Wah. See how that's wet? It's got oil on it. It's all from that seal, so it runs down both this face here and it runs down the back side of this and actually will wick its way up into here. So we'll get that all taken care of tomorrow. That was pretty tight. That's good. Not much play in that at all. It's about right. Let's get out from under here and live our lives. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is kind of wire brush this off as much of these threads as I can. Now I've sprayed this a couple times with penetrating.